welcome to the African Utility Week studio. My name is Amy Ryan, Deputy Editor of Metering and Smart Energy International, and today I have with me Frank Rizzo, who is the Partner and Technology Sector Leader for Africa at KPMG. Welcome, Frank.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure.
In your opinion, I wanted to talk about some of the topic on data and analytics. In your opinion, do utilities in Africa, are they sufficiently leveraging data analytics to make the most of their technology investments?
So obviously it's a generalization in terms of an answer, but I would say no, because the whole concept of big data and analytics has only been around for the last couple of years, and the technologies to really extract value from DNA are only now starting to mature. From what I've seen, the utilities really sit on so much data, but are they using it to its fullest extent? No. And are they extracting the most value? I don't think so. I also think it's just going to get a lot worse if IoT really takes off, the Internet of Things. As more sensors are deployed, you're just going to have more data. So you need to be able to analyze that in real time. So no, to answer your question, no, I don't think so.
And then what are your top 3 recommendations for utility CEOs when drawing up a data and analytics strategy? What are the most important things that they have to take into account?
So it's not just about the DNA, right? The data and analytics. I would look at it, what are the key trends in technology, and how does that then drive what I should be doing around data and analytics? So things like Internet of Things, that's going to proliferate, especially in a utilities environment. That will generate more data. You need to be ready to collect, analyze, and report on that in real time. Things like augmented reality as well, which sounds a little bit far-fetched, but using, consumers using their smartphones to look at their meters and being able to derive insights from that. That a utility provider can also, provide a solution around.
There are 2 terms that are gaining quite a bit of traction globally.
Yes.
That is machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Yes.
What is your take in terms of how that will, or how data and analytics will affect that?
Okay, so that is growing at an unbelievable pace, and it's, from my point of view, it's moved out of the realm of science fiction into becoming a reality, especially the machine learning component. So, it sounds very fancy and rocket science, but it's algorithms really that can be trained and learn from the data that you have. Now, moving into artificial intelligence, it gets one step further, where the machine is starting to make decisions for you. So coming back to utilities, absolutely there's an opportunity there. Unfortunately, I think some of it will be to replace human labor, and that's quite an interesting paradox that we all need to deal with. But if you put a machine in and you train it well enough and it can start making decisions, it won't make mistakes. Whereas with humans, unfortunately, there's always human error that comes into it. So I think we're at an early stage with that, but it will certainly grow.
Okay. And specifically within the African context, where do you see that going, and how far do you think it will take for artificial intelligence or machine learning solutions to be commercialized?
So it's funny, because one would think that it's going to take much longer because we're in Africa, right? My view, looking at it generally from a technology perspective, is that Africa, and again I'm generalizing, you have an opportunity to leapfrog, because so many other Western economies are so invested in legacy technology. We don't have that. Now, we need some technology, but we can actually put some of the newest technology in and leapfrog some of the competition, let's say, around the world, because we're not sort of tied down to 20-year-old systems.
Yeah, okay. And then how do you think utilities can prevent overspending on technology? I think maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, it could be a misconception around the more technology we have, the more efficient we're going to be. How would you advise utilities in?
So I guess it's a general question around tech that's been around for decades, because I guess companies invest more and more, and you say, well, but we can't afford not to. Are we spending all this money? So I guess you always have to go down to business principles. What's the return on investment on a particular piece of technology? If I don't do this, where am I going to rank in terms of my competition? What is my market expecting us to do? And it's really applying those economic principles, right? This technology is going to be expensive. So the one caveat maybe to that is, as we move to the cloud, and more of the technology is available via cloud service. I think, my view, what's going to happen with utilities is there's less investment in hardware and more buying services from cloud providers that are very specific and narrow to what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of talk or kind of solutions in the market that are offered as a service.
Yes.
Can you maybe talk about that?
So I think that's where the model is shifting
Yeah.
to, right? I think you're seeing more and more niche service providers, and I mean in this exhibition you're seeing so many of these exhibitors offering those services,
Yes.
right? And it's people being very good at what they do in a narrow area, and me as a utility saying, if I want that, I don't have to build it all myself. I don't have to hire people, build hardware and technology and software, etc. I can just buy that as a service. So it shifts the model from a capex to OPEX, right?
Yeah.
That, to answer your previous question, should give a CFO at a utility much more control, or the ability to control the expenditure. Because as the service ramps up, you can make a decision to say, has it gotten to a point where I need this on my own premises, or can I just carry on buying it as a service? So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And then what do you see as the big next technology disruptor within the African market, or African energy market, and globally as well?
It's very difficult to say one piece of tech, right? But I think, and it's not technology, it's how we use the data that exists. And there is technology around that in terms of analytics engines and cognitive, and you mentioned earlier artificial intelligence, but it all comes down to the data. So my advice to a lot of utilities would be, make sure that the data you have, the quality is at the right standard, the integrity is good, because that is going to be your gold of the future, is understanding how your country's demand moves, how you can start diverting power, based on smart grids, how you can use smart meters to start distributing and pricing in a different way, but on the fly. The technology will enable you to do that. That will change the way we buy products from utilities, I think.
Okay. And then lastly, what do you think is not being said enough about data analytics and the importance thereof amongst utility companies?
So, as one of the people who's advocating DNA, you always sort of go to the sexy stuff and look at the AI and the cognitive abilities. Unfortunately, you have to get the basics right. So people don't like talking about that because that's hard work. But it's making sure you have the data in the first place. Do you have the ownership of that data? It's the good old governance of the data, right? Quality, integrity, the risk. I've had some clients where you say, well, we can't move data cross-border. So now how do we share data across, let's say, Africa?
Yeah.
So those are real challenges, and they're not sexy, but they need to be resolved. I think that's a big thing.
Thank you so much, Frank.
My pleasure.
I think that's all we have for today, unfortunately. This is Amy Ryan coming to you from the African Utility Week studio. Thank you for watching.